Okay, this is going to be video number 3. This is part 2 of the games. Went through some of the other games already. I'll pick up here. One thing that I forgot to say was that I'm only making one set of videos, whether you're in 6th grade and you're using the positive numbers or just regular whole numbers. 7th and 8th grade are using the negative. I'm sure I explained this before, but the reason for the negative signs on them are purely so 7th and 8th graders are not insulted by the fact that they need to work on their facts. So, for example, in this game, the only thing that's going to be different is in the 6th grade version, the 0 is here and the 100 is over here, and in the 7th and 8th grade version, it's negative 100 goes over here and 0 goes here. But this game is called Shipster. This is actually the kids' favorite game from my experience, but it's the one that I want to make sure that is easy to understand. So we'll see. Let's say we're playing the 5 times table. Student can pick any 3 numbers in the 5 times table up to from 5 up to 50. They can't put 0 and they can't go bigger than 50. But they put the 3 numbers in order from least to greatest, whatever ones they pick. So let's say that this kid picked, say, 10. 25, and 35. They would write that, this again, this sheet's inside a communicator or sheet protector. They write on it, but they don't let their opponent see what 3 numbers they wrote. Meanwhile, their opponent is writing 3 numbers on their sheet. And the way it works is, let's pretend that I'm player 1 and I'm going first. I want to guess in the other person's boat. So I'm going to write 9 times 5. 9 groups of 5 are 45. Then I say to my opponent, 9 groups of 5, 45, that's my guess. And then my opponent says hit or miss. Now, if my opponent says hit, I will ask them, is it the smallest, the middle, or the largest? So let's say that I got a hit, and the player says that it is in the middle, which would be surprising for 45, but that's awesome because now I know that the other number, one of my numbers has to be bigger than 45 and one smaller. So definitely this one's going to be 50, I can tell just by judging. The other one's going to be harder because it could be 40 or 35 or 30 or 25 or 20, all the other numbers. And basically, players keep taking turns until they sink the other person's ship. Whoever sinks gets 3 hits first, sinks the person's ship, and then they say, you sank my battleship, just like the game when we were little kids. Now, the only thing different for the negative version is over here it says negative 100 to 0 because least to greatest over here, the smallest number is actually going to be the one closest to a negative 100, and they get bigger as they go towards 0. That's the only confusion I can envision. So in theory, if we were doing, say, negative 10, negative 25, negative 35, it would not go that way. So let me grab my eraser. Okay, if they were doing those numbers over here in the negative game that the 7th and 8th graders are playing, they would grab their pen, and what were the numbers? Negative 35 would be the smallest one. Negative 25, I think that's what I had, I don't remember. And then negative 10 goes over here. It's the only difference between 6th grade and then 7th and 8th grade is that. Now, the next game, I apologize, is only in the 6th grade. It is basically, it's called a Seekster. For the 5 times table, the kids would look around and try to find the words for the whole table. So they have to find 5, F-I-V-E. They got to find 10, T-E-N. And they keep looking around. Like right away, the word that jumps out at me right here is 25. It's right there. And then they would go around and find them all. Now, the difference is, like, say, for example, over here. Oh, here's just regular 5. But other places, kids are going to look and see, like, 35 and want to only circle 5. But tell them if it's, for example, here's 35. 35. Some kids will say, hey, 5's on here twice. No, it's not. This is part of 35. Now, the way this game works is after they circle the 10 multiples of 5, they would end up crossing this out, and then there's a hidden message, and it goes like this. You just use the open boxes. D for D-O is do, Y-O-U, do you, K-N, you're just going in order, O-W, do you know, W-H-I-C-H, which, and it continues to say, do you know which month that Americans celebrate Thanksgiving? It ends right here. Then there's some letters at the end, they don't matter. So, do you know which month Americans celebrate Thanksgiving? And then now the kid can answer the question. NOV and November will fit down there. If they think it's like January, it won't fit. And that's the idea. Now that's it's only in the sixth grade book. If you're a seventh or eighth grade teacher and you think your kids could use that, talk to some sixth grade person, borrow it, and you can just copy it. That's no big deal. Okay. Now these are in both books. This is for sixth grade and seventh and eighth. Of course, just with negative signs on it. This is an old-fashioned do now. It's like a drill, really, but I don't want to drill because it's politically incorrect. So this is a do now. And basically, it's just a bunch of ways of asking kids their 5 facts. So I'm going to jump to the page. This is what the problem looks like. There's one of these for every times table. Here, what I did is like this above the red line is what was on the last page. But what a kid would do is theoretically take a piece of loose leaf. They would never, like, I wouldn't have my kids write on this paper at all. They would just take a piece of loose leaf and then do it. They would write do now 5-1. They would write the word identify, but then instead of drawing the picture up here, they would write the fact. Well, there's 4 circles, 5 in each, 4 times 5, 20. 2 circles, 5 in each, 10. Down here, it says multiply by 5, like up here, but they don't write 9. They just put the answer, which is 45 and 15. And then basically they write the I don't know, the directions, I guess, here, and then they write the answers. I'm thinking it would take a kid somewhere between 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes of homework if you wanted to add that on, if the kids needed to have the practice. Okay, that's pretty much all the games. Again, the idea is 10 minutes a day. You play a game or two, and then you do an oops challenge if you want to do that. The oops challenge is to see if they're getting it. You can assign the do now whenever you please. That would be good practice for them. You could do that in class one day if you want, even a little bit of quiet time. You could have them just fill one of those out. And then the idea is, though, at the end of the week, that they don't leave the table until they are done. Now, I didn't actually make this, so I'm just going to talk about it. I've demonstrated it many times. The index cards, and if you remember, there's basically 4 cards going across. And this card on it would say 1 times 5. I'm just going to say it. It's going to take too long. The next one has a 5. And then you would have 2 times 5 and 10, 3 times 5 and 15. And the idea is if you got those index cards from Mike Capiello, what's going to happen is you could take the cards, write out the facts from 1 times 5 is 5 up to 10 times 5 is 50. You lay them on the table, and then the kids remove, it's called take 10. They take 10 of the cards away, any 10 that they want. They can take all the problems, they can take all the answers, or any mixture of that. And the idea is you time how long it takes them to put it back. Now, in theory, I believe it should take 30 seconds or less. If it takes longer than that, then you really haven't mastered the facts. If a kid is struggling, what I might do is have them try to take 10, time them, and then if it takes them, say, 47 seconds, you say, okay, now I want you to try it again and see if you can beat your 47 seconds. And in theory, you want to try to speed them up and get them to do it. If a kid was really struggling, I might give him 20 index cards for himself and say, man, why don't you take these home and you can practice them at home, play the game by yourself, and then we'll see if we can increase your speed. But that's basically all the games, and then I'm going to make another video for the loopsters because if you need to do a second week on a times table and some of the kids already have them mastered, we don't want them sitting there bored. So we're going to have them do loopsters instead, but that'll be the next video.